Hello and welcome to a Crack and Forward live stream. Hello, Lindsay, Josh, David, young Helen, Blimey, and Hot Dakota. Hello, Ulf. Great to see you here. Everyone, Skip. Hello from Florida. Well, it's good to see you all here. I hope you're all well. Got a fair few things to talk about today, but as always, ask questions if you have any. Yes, you're on time, Lindsay, so that's good. The things I want to talk about today is have a little chat about mammoths. Hello, Imtifa. Chat about mammoths, chat about the folklore database, which has undergone some huge changes for various different reasons I want to talk about. And I'll talk a bit about the book because I've got some feedback from the publisher. So hopefully there'll be good news. I'll be telling you and tell you what's going on with it and what I'm talking about, and if you've got ideas. And then say if you've got any questions or thoughts or anything you want to share with me, feel free. I've just come off a live stream with something called the Jedi Media Network. As my friend Jeff Lipton is one of the patrons. He runs a podcast. That was quite interesting. Talked a lot about the Odyssey. I don't know if any of you have seen the Odyssey yet, what you think of it. I haven't. I don't know. I don't know. I'll be overly busy next week with it, but I'll try. So let's let a few more people come on. We've got a few here, 17 people. So how is everyone doing? Has anyone here actually seen the Mammoth video? If no one has, I'll go into it in great detail, or not great detail, more detail than I would have. So, in fact, let's start with mammoths then, and mammoth myths. So, first off, I have at last made a video. Sorry it took so long. I saw it over. I hope you liked it. So yeah, sorry it took so long to make it. I've been so busy writing books. Takes far longer than I thought. I can write lots of words, but then I want to rewrite them all, and then I want to rewrite them all again, and then I want to rewrite them all again. So it's taken me 4 times longer than I think. But let me explain mammoth myths for you. And the premise of the video is: do we have stories that are a direct descendant from our ancestors who saw live mammoths? So, and that's quite interesting. And I wanted to make it, and I've really forgot to add this bit as an apology. So, sort of an apology. So when I talk about the cosmic hunt story, one of the things I say, so academically, we can say the cosmic hunt is no younger than 15,000 years old, because that was the time when the Bering Strait ceased to be between Eurasia and America. And because we believe this story travelled from Eurasia into the Americas, it must have happened by that time. So academically, we want to be secure, we would say it's 15,000 years old. But I know everyone here likes to try and find older stories told into the Ice Age, or the Pleistocene and the Upper Paleolithic. And my own research to that has come across 2 other bits of evidence. One relates to the positioning of Ursa Major in the sky, suggesting that 30,000 years ago it was closer to the horizon in the air as this story is told. So perhaps the story could be 30,000 years old. But the other piece of information I sometimes talk about is the mammoth. And I say the story has a mammoth in it, which it does, in Siberia. Therefore, the story has to be old, because mammoths died out maybe 6,000-7,000 years ago in mainland Siberia, not in Wrangel Island, where they lived till 4,000 BC, or is it 4,000 years ago? Maybe 4,000 years ago. So quite recent in human history. So, and I said that, but actually it turns out that the mammoth story told in Siberia may have been influenced by the fact that the mammoth was seen as a sacred animal that guarded the underworld, which seems really odd because everybody would probably assume mammoths walk on the ground and not underground. So what is it doing guarding the underworld? And how does it get down there? Does it fit? It's a big beast. And so the thought is that the Siberian cultures remember the mammoth through the story of it guarding the underworld, and therefore have used it as an animal that actually is being hunted in the cosmic hunt, rather than it actually being a real animal, which is a sort of an interesting premise. And you can't sort of prove it one way or the other. But what was challenging in the video is actually finding out who actually said the mammoth was guardian of the underworld. That was quite a challenge to actually find the original books. Now, I have linked those in the video description. Hello, Diesel. A link in the video description, and I'll make the video public after this. In fact, when I say goodbye on the live stream, I'll make it live so everyone can see it. But I found the book. It's from 1948 in Russia, and it's literally 4 lines where someone said it possibly means the mammoth was a guardian of the underworld, which is not great citation. I was saying I was more energetic than usual. Yeah, I was really excited studying this. I have spent, to be honest, I haven't made many videos recently, and I apologise for that. I keep apologising. What I'm doing is I'm actually spending far too much time building infrastructure for the study of folklore and mythology than actually doing the study of folklore and mythology. So to actually go back and do a bit of studying of folklore and mythology was exciting to me. I hadn't done it for like a month, and I'm really passionate about it, as you probably know. So yes, it was exciting, and yeah, so that's why. But the infrastructure is really important to get right to make the study of folklore be easier for not just me, but for everyone who studies it, and hopefully allow us to look more into other things like that we were discussing in Oslo, which I'm still in the back of my mind, and I've got thoughts, but that's for another conversation. So we have these mammoth stories. So why does the mammoth live underground? And the key reason for this, for my research, is that the Siberians who live in Siberia, in the sort of colder regions where the permafrost are, they never find mammoth bodies lying on the ground, like dead mammoths. All the mammoth bodies seem to come out of riverbanks, out the side of riverbanks where water's sort of causing erosion of the riverbank, and then allowing bones buried to come out into the open, or as the permafrost melts and therefore the ground shrinks a little bit, tusks and alike can come through the ground. And so people there think that, well, the mammoths must live in the ground and come up, rather than be animals that were on the ground. And hence, that's why they think there are underground mammoths. And then this underground mammoth story turned into giant underground mice story in China. And then they say this mammoth becomes really important. What creature was this? And does it die when it's exposed to the sun and to the air? Is that why we can't ever see a live mammoth? And then there's stories about it being associated with bears and elks and pike. And they eventually create this sort of sacredness of the animal, such that there's one story which is incredibly fascinating, where the mammoth is the earth diver. So if you're familiar with the earth diver myth, where usually there's a waterfowl bird sits on a primordial ocean and it dives to the bottom of the ocean to get soil, brings it up, that soil turns to land. Well, they have a story where it's the mammoth that dives to the bottom of the sea and brings up mud in its tusks. But then a snake comes along and carves rivers and valleys through the landscape, and then mammoth walks on the landscape with its big feet and creates lakes and ponds And that's how the landscape is formed, and which I think is an absolutely fascinating story with incredible motifs. And where's the origin of that from? And I touch on that in the video. And then the video ends with a story about the bubble-headed boy, who probably looks a bit similar to me, but without the beard. That's a sort of an interesting story. Strange ending, very strange ending, which I apologise for. How it's written, but fascinating. So that was the Mammoth video. So I'll release that after today. I will make one video in August. I'm not sure of the subject, but August needs to be a month where I finish the book. So let me get to the questions and I'll talk about the book. Lindsay says, can I show this somehow? Yes, there we go. Credfold, in the marshes we have mammoths that fell into kettle holes, steep-sided ponds left by ice flows in silt and peat marshes. Calf fell in, mother fell after it, probably trying to rescue. Oh, wow. So there was that preserved, I guess. Yeah, that's interesting. And Timbers, I was wondering where your channel had gone. It's still here. I just haven't posted as much because I've had lots going on. Discuss the Odyssey at some point. I could discuss the Odyssey today if people want to. That's not a problem. So I'll have quite a different view to the classicists' view on it. But let me. So some of the things that have happened is the book, TV show, and the mythology database. So the book. What's going on with the book? I received feedback from my editor today, and he said what I have written, which is the first half of it, was excellent, thoroughly enjoyable, and like nothing else he has read, which I hope is a good thing. Is it meant to be good feedback? So, so I've got to the end of August as a deadline to finish the second half of the book, and then that could be out before Christmas, which is what I really want to have happen. And if you want to know what the book's about, I can give you some clues. So it starts off by explaining why stories can be old, but then it also then talks about how stories can be corrupt. So the folklore we read in books can be wrong, and it gives quite a humorous example of that. Really quite strange as well. And then it talks about how stories don't necessarily change, but you do. And by that I mean we can hear the same words in the same stories, but we can have different opinions of the story, and that opinion can change as you get older. So, for example, you may be born an atheist and hear a story of Jesus and not worry about it, but you may then turn into become a Christian later on in life and hear a story of Jesus and do believe it. So the stories may not change. You have changed and have a different opinion of the story. That's sort of an interesting aspect of how stories work. So I talk about how we look at stories differently, how we can measure them and read them, what are truthful and what isn't, and the data we require for phylogenetic study. And then I talk about some old stories. I'll talk about the Cosmic Hunt in the book as a good sort of example, but then I'll talk about other stories at the end, which is the second half of the book I need to write now, that should be bread and butter stuff, because it's things I know in my head. I don't have to do too much reading. I can know how to write that. So that's where we are with the book. With the TV show, so I made 6 episodes of a TV documentary called Beyond Myth, which I have not seen. Oh, I've seen one pilot episode, the screener, where I was made to look like I'm contradicting all the grifters, which I don't mind, because some of them were talking some strange stuff. But I believe that might be on Amazon now. Someone said they saw it on Amazon Japan. So if that's there and you want to watch a documentary, Beyond Myth, there it is. It should be on Amazon. So enjoy it. Be really interested to hear what you think and whether I should work with those people again. So, what else is going on? So, you see me? Yes. Oh, so there's a crystal. I haven't seen this Crystal Skulls one. So there we go. David has. Was that on Amazon? David, did you tell me? Was it Amazon? So I might watch it tonight if it's on. Where are you in the US? Anyone? Yes, Amazon. So there we go, everyone. I'm on TV. You can't get rid of me. Well, that's good. So, right. So they didn't tell me this. So there we go. Anyway, it was a nice thing to do. Although, anyway, I won't go on about it. Right. So I'll talk about the Odyssey. Amazon Prime in the UK. Oh, okay. I'll talk about the Odyssey in a minute, but let me talk about the mythology, the folklore database, John, folklore database, because it has changed a lot. And the reason it has changed a lot is because, one, more people have tried to hack it. I don't know why. Maybe they want the data off it. I don't know, but it seems very basic hacking. Two, we now have over 350 universities represented as users of the database in terms of students and academics alike. And I'm also dealing directly with academics, professors, assistant professors, in terms of doing research and getting budgets and alike. Because in America, the budget system is strange. Over in Europe, people ask me what they need, and it's pretty straightforward. In America, I'll have to write letters to the universities to confirm that I will help them do the research for what they want, which is whether that process has changed recently, I don't know. But because of that, I want to make sure the database is more citable, so it's in a better format. Now, I spoke to Yuri Berskin a few times over the last week about doing that, because about half the data in the database has come from the Berskin catalog. And whilst that data is shareable, and I've also, because I've translated it, the sort of the copyright laws a bit changed, but it's shareable and it is licensable, provided I give an attribute to Berskin's work. Now, but Berskin also told me he is actually gone off the project now, and it's Duvakin, his colleague, who's dealing with it. But Duvakin's currently on the field research in China till the end of August, I think. So I've got to wait for Duvakin to come back to talk to him to see if I can make sure he's happy. If he's happy with what I've done in terms of citation, then I will upload the database format to, I think it's called Zenodo, and that way we can get proper DOIs for it, and therefore people can properly cite it. So that was the premise of it. So I thought I'll do a few things on that. I got a couple of questions. Lindsay says, yes, although mammoths were observed, not uncommon with tar pits. Shropshire Visitor Centre. Oh, could go up there one day. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Lindsay. And Timber says, whatever you do, don't get involved in TV shows that would set you up by including nutcases, ancient astronauts, which cherry pick quotes. Yes. Yeah. It's hard to know sometimes, Timber. I did go to a megalithomania conference a couple of years ago. What is interesting is, one, the partner of the guy running it, Hugh, I can't remember her name, it's all right, CJ, I think her name might be. She quoted one of my pieces of research on the Indo-European creation myth with no nod to me, which I was disappointed with. I didn't realise how out there some of those people were, but also they never actually showed my talk as a recording on their channel, I believe. So, that was weird. That was my only experience. This one, I think, is meant to be better, although there are some people who are less academic on there. And hopefully I won't be shown as a nutter, but you have to, I'm always one to challenge people who disagree with me, or not disagree, who aren't being factual in their evidence. And I feel you have to challenge these people. Uh, you can't put them off for fear of looking silly or fear of getting accused of, well, what would you call it? Guilty by association, by talking to the wrong people. Because to be a good scholar, you have to challenge and understand. So, whilst I wouldn't necessarily go on a show that I knew was called Ancient Aliens, I would go on a show that's meant to be talking about mythology, and that I feel I have some, they're being honest about what they're producing. But yeah, thank you. It's hard because I want to be helpful, want to teach as many people as possible what's out there, so they can learn about folklore mythology. But with that, let me just log into the mythology database, and I can show you some of the new things. There's some really, if I say so myself, some really cool stuff going on. So this is the mythology database. Oops, let me log in. Right, looks different. I have to say, I did use, I'll take the comments off stage. I did actually use AI to help me write the CSS, so some of the color code behind it, because I'm not very good at that, but everything else is my own work. So the front screen now goes straight into a query where you can search for things. So if you look for fire-breathing dragons, search narratives, as usual with the database, boom, you'll get a distribution of fire-breathing dragon narratives. So what things have changed? Some of them are, if you're not already didn't know, I've changed the different maps you can have. So you can have a country map, a minimal map, and a sort of terrain map. But what you also have now, a globe, which you can zoom into if you want. I don't think this is going to be practical for anyone really, but if it helps people understand things, we have that. But what I also have now is created what we call a dimension map, which is this style map. And what this allows you to do, certainly as a comparative mythologist, is to see more easily migrations of myths, certainly across the Bering Strait, which is in the center of the picture. But it can show distribution somewhat better, and the continents are a better size compared to the other maps. So that's there. Hello, Millie from Greece. Hope life is treating you well. So that's one thing. Now, what we also have here is cite this map. If you click that, it tries to auto fill in the citation you have, so you can just use that. And the reason I've put that there is that without doubt, the maps are the most important thing, or not the most used and unique thing about this website compared to everybody else's websites, is the fact that I can do these distributions. And I have yesterday updated about 250 of the tradition coordinates, because a few of them I'd got the longitude and latitude round the wrong way. Why I didn't notice that, I don't know, but no one else seemed to. But yeah, I'll fix a few of those. So that's that. But the other thing we've done is, if you look at mapper locations, which shows you these are all the traditions in the world. Okay, so you can see they're everywhere. In fact, no, let's do it a different way. Compare motifs is probably slightly better. What people used to say is, could they see where all the traditions are when I'm comparing something? So let's say you're interested in the Earth Diver, which is C6, I think. Let me whiz down to C6. C6, yeah, Earth Diver. That you can compare them now against all traditions. And if you do that and compare, what happens is now you see where the Earth Diver is, which is red, compared to all the traditions in the world. The advantage of that is you can get a better idea sometimes of the distribution, such as, okay, there's only 5 examples in South America where there's sort of probably 100 plus traditions. So that isn't widespread there, although it is there. Where in North America, you can see it's probably about 50% distribution. So again, that's really useful information. But perhaps one of the better pieces, or one of the things I really like, is if you look at motifs. So I've actually called this now the Berskin Duvigin catalogue because of what I said earlier. If we pick a motif that has some subtypes in fact, the Earth Diver is a good one. So let's go back to that C6. So the Earth Diver has a number of sub-motifs. If you click on it, you'll see a summary. You'll get a summary of the number of myths and legends at the top, and the narratives. You can get a map. But what we can now do is, if we click at the bottom of the sort of top where it shows you their sub-motifs, you can see a map called the sub-motifs, which is not new. But now what is new is it will color code those sub-motifs. So you can actually get a better idea where they all are on the map at the same time. And then if you do that as the Damaxian map, although that's probably really hard to see, but they are different colors, and that's a really good view if you're sitting at the desk with good eyesight to look. But certainly if you go back to the other one, you just get a far better idea with the key above it of where those distributions are. So they were the things that I've done recently. The other thing, all these menu items are now working. Again, I've updated the resources now, references, some papers. I will update social media. So currently social media points to Crec and Ford's social media accounts. I've set up, oh, thanks Helen for the color coding. Yeah, it just makes sense. I've set up some social media accounts for Folklore database on X and Blue Sky and Instagram, I think, which is fine. And what I can do there is I can just post updates to the database on there. I don't think many people ever use it, but it's just for noting. And the terms and conditions, because of everything I said about citing, no, not terms and conditions. I lied down the bottom here where the license is under copyright. We now have a better screen, which really goes into detail on the licensing arrangements and what I own and what I don't own. Because I've had people email me saying, I've licensed this. Does that mean they can't use stories in the database? And so I'm being really clear that I don't own the narratives. There are just certain bits of data that I control. So I hope that makes sense to people, because I didn't want people not using the narratives to influence them and writing new stories or doing the research. So yeah, it's unfortunate combination of a few things that meant I had to stop things to get that done. It's been a few days doing that, and I've tightened up security yet again. I'm not a reasonably good coder, but I'm not exceptionally good at that. But I think I've put in a really good thing on the sign-on screen to stop people trying to hack it using what we call SQL injection. And I'm tightening up the use cases so we can see if there's an automated bot scraping or getting the data of the narrative. So it's the narrative data we really are protecting, because that's the important thing that things like AI want to sort of just take off this and then probably misuse. That's the important factor. So we're trying to look after that. So that is the updates to the mythology database. So what else to talk about? Let's talk about the Odyssey then. So I haven't seen the film, but what I thought I'd do is I'll give you a view of the Odyssey from a mythology perspective. So if some of you may remember me talking about the Iliad when I talked about the Troy and what the Iliad really was as a story. Because if you speak to a classicist, they will say the Iliad is a story of the War of Troy. It's a story about Achilles and his relationship. It's or a story about the marriages between sort of Paris and Helena of Troy, and they're like, it's about these sort of things going on. But it isn't about that at all for a mythologist. And the answer to it is in the first few lines of the Iliad. In fact, one second, see if I've got a copy of it here. Iliad, books 1 to 12. There we go. Loeb Library, really worth. If you want translations, these are pretty good. I'm doing this live, so I don't know if this is going to work if I remember it correctly. But I believe, I think it's about line 3. I'm not going to read the Greek. So basically, I'll read the first paragraph for you. The Wrath Sing, goddess of Peleus, son of Achilles, the accursed wrath which brought countless sorrows upon the Achaeans, and sent down to Hades many valiant souls of warriors, and made men themselves to be the spoil for dogs and birds of every kind. And thus the will of Zeus was brought to fulfillment. That first line is what the Iliad is about, which translated means Zeus wanted many people to die because the world is too busy. And references to dogs and birds are, if you follow what we teach here, so dogs and birds are transports to take your soul to the underworld. They were seen as animals that could pass from this world to the other world. And so if they ate your body, then they could then take it to the other world, which is just a way of trying to explain why dogs and birds eat bodies, are probably on the battlefield. But that's it. But it's basically saying lots of people died and it was Zeus's will. So Zeus wanted everybody to die, and that's what the Iliad is about. Lots of people dying, which is a standard motif. We see it many times. The world is too noisy, have a flood, or the world is too noisy. Apsu in the Enuma Elish goes off and tries to kill people. So that really is it. So the stories, even up to the time of Shakespeare, usually told you what was going to happen in them at the very beginning, and then you'd have the story. We don't do that anymore in cinema. So I don't know why, but that goes on. Now the Odyssey is a bit different, but you can approach it a similar way. So the Odyssey, there'd be no spoilers here. So if you haven't seen it, right. So someone says I haven't seen it, but it's left out lots of God-related action. You probably couldn't afford to hire a god as an actor. So the Odyssey isn't a story about an Odyssey. The Odyssey is a story about Odysseus telling a story about the Odyssey. So I don't know if it does it in the film, but when you start reading a book, Odysseus is 9 years into his journey. Sorry, so and he's got to persuade people for help, and they say, "You tell us a good story about what you've been doing, we'll help you." And so then he explains his story of 9 years. Actually, what the story is actually a reflection of a person. Well, it's a person's journey. It is like an Odyssey. It's a person's trial and tribulations through life. Everybody has issues in life. We don't necessarily worry about hospitality. We deal with things in a dark, different way, and we come across our own demons and monsters. We are seduced, and that's all it is. It's just a metaphor for a human journey, and it's quite a different book to the Iliad. So the Odyssey, there's aspects of it we see in the Mahabharata, especially at the end. There's a scene with a bow, or I don't know, the film probably must have this, and we see the exact same thing in the Mahabharata. Like, there are parts of the story that have persisted before Troy happened, and there's parts that have changed to accommodate it. So my view would be something like the Iliad and the Greek epic was being told before Troy. When Troy happened, it adopted Troy as the battle bit and removed whatever maybe old, less intelligible story was. I mean, because this is why these stories change, to remain relevant. So when you get to the Odyssey, again, it really is a collection of little stories. But as I've shown on this channel, the story of the wanderer, the person going into, like leaving the real world and going to somewhere strange, encountering strange things, and then finding their way back. That's really common, and all I've done is just add, their own sort of mini adventures to those. But what is interesting with the Odyssey is that the storytellers have added historically known geographical locations and potentially historical events in the Iliad anyway, and that gives the story more credibility. So people think the story could be true. Now there are historical facts in there. But it doesn't mean the story itself is historical. It can't be, because it doesn't happen on the real world. It happens in this makeshift world. That's the whole point of the wanderer motif. But so that's it. But it's just a reflection. All it is a reflection of how humans have to struggle through life. That's it in a nutshell. Save yourself buying a cinema ticket. So yeah, so that's all I had really planned to talk about. The chat is a lot more quiet than usual. So I hope you're all okay, or just relaxing. A hot summer's day for many of you, I'm sure. Let me just check questions. No, it's fine. So if you've got anything you want me to make a video about for August, let me know and I'll think about it. But I'll say I really enjoyed the Mammoth one, really did. Penelope, let's talk about, this one's asking about Penelope. So Penelope is Odysseus' wife. And while he's away, she gets many suitors, which if Odysseus would ever find out, he wouldn't be happy about. Timber says, I thought the situation with Penelope stalling her suitors by saying she decided after she finished weaving a shroud but picking it apart at night. Yes, that's very interesting. If people aren't aware, she's creating this shroud, as you say, and she says when she's finished, she'll make a decision, but every night she unpicks it, so the shroud never gets bigger and bigger. And then at the end of the Odyssey, towards the end, there's a task that has to happen. So that's really interesting. You've been knitting as you listened. Well, Karen, I hope you're knitting a shroud. There we go. That'll make you very Penelope-like. David, your thoughts on May? I've seen Moana with The Rock, who has hair, as May, a trickster demigod who reminded me of Loki, his clothes, his acting. I haven't seen that. I'm not overly familiar with the Polynesian myths, I have to say. I would love to be. I do have a few books about them that I've never had a chance to sit down and read. What is interesting about those myths, although the world is constantly moving around, people are constantly migrating, but there is certainly, from, let's say, Bearskin, he would say, where did I read that? I think in one of his Cosmic Hunt. It might be no. I think he may have did a presentation, a seminar some years ago, and it was on the notes of that. He talked about how traces of narratives within Oceania are probably related to out of Africa stories, so really old stories. So that's what I'd like to look at those more. And he goes on about giving overviews. I think let me see if I can find it rather than me just guess things. Let me see if I can actually find what that is, because that will mean it's far easier. No, it's not that one. I can't. No, new perspectives on myth. So yes, so Yuri Bearskin did a talk, I believe, a seminar on mythology. So I've shut my browser down. I'll get you a picture of the book up you want. It's probably going to be quite hard to get hold of it. New perspectives on myth. I think it was a 2005 conference. Oh, right. So, yes, Amazon. Let me share the screen. Doobity-doo, bo-bo. So that's about new perspectives on myths. 2008. I don't know if this is one. Yes, it must be the one. That's really expensive. I didn't see the price. Holy moly! But there's some interesting notes in there on Bearskin where he talks about. It goes over an overview of world mythology and certainly narratives we find in Australia and Africa, and suggests that the perspective of Polynesia may be sort of remnant of the out of Africa stories. So that's what I'm saying. That's why I would love to read more about the Polynesia stuff. But I'm just not familiar with that, David, as yet. Question: have you ever done a video on the fates? Not directly. They're odd. I mean that in a nice way. Fates, because they're not gods. The narratives around them are quite tricky and changing and quite localizing at times. So I would love to, and I'll definitely put that on my to-do list, and I might be able to do that as a next video. We will see. But yes, I'll certainly interested in that. The idea of spinning and weaving and threading is interesting. It's odd that we see that again across a lot of the Indo-European landscape, and it's still really important in certainly places where folklore is still important, such as Eastern Europe. Excuse me. Lindsay, what about a video on possible folk memory in myths? Jeff's assertions about Anatolian origin of Britons and the translocation of Stonehenge. Oh, well, I don't know how to. What? That is interesting. So, what we find is where people try to do things, let's say, like try to keep biblical accuracy whilst telling the origins of Britain's story. There's sort of a conflict there because nobody in Britain recorded a great flood and one of Noah's sons coming along to populate the country, so they have to sort of fit that in, and it's quite interesting. You see that in there. We see it in the Anglo-Saxon Chronicles, I think, and the Prose Edda, I think, might have a bit about it. So we see Christians trying to get across those sort of things. That's interesting. I wouldn't know how to frame that, but it is something that has puzzled me. And if people want to note these oddities, I'm happy. I'll happily do something about that, and that's quite interesting. Midi, is there a Penelope type figure in other myths? So a woman who's waiting for her husband to return. We do find in some of the wandering myths, we see this certainly aspect of it tends to be a man who goes on the journey, and the man tends to come across women who want to try and kill him in variously strange ways. I don't remember a myth off the top of my head where there's a woman at home keeping suitors at bay. So I can't say no, but that is exactly the sort of thing the folklore database might be able to answer. But the myths, you see, because most of the myths are in America, North America, the west side of North America, that aspect of weaving may not be so dominant, and so there may not be that sort of aspect to it in there. I mean, or the wife waiting. I mean, some people complained that the Indo-Europeans were patriarchal, but there are some. If you watch the Mammoth video, you'll see the bubble-headed boy. That was written by a man, almost certainly. So, yeah, I can't recall any there, and I would be surprised if there were. But that's where we would have to look. There might be notes. If you look up the Wanderer in the folklore database and look through the narratives there, you may be able to find something. But I doubt there is off the top of my head from what I understand about the narrative. So with that, it's another shortish one, but you can get on with your day. Thank you for all your support. Yes, I really apologise for the video. Really pleased I made it, and I'll do my best to make another one before this time next month. I'll release the Mammoth video in about 10 minutes, and say for your support on the folklore database. Thank you. It is to say becoming a really good tool. Every couple of months we're making big progress. What I'll also say on it is that other things is going on. Well, I hadn't remembered to tell you is I'm doing a lot of work trying to recreate myth themes and motifs. So I'm working with a researcher who works for an organisation in the States, which I'll talk about when I'm able to. but we're looking at creation myths. And so I've gone through all the narratives and picked them out. Is this a creation myth? Is this a myth to the underworld? Is this so core myth types, maybe 10 of them. I've gone through all the narratives and tried to pick those out. So I have a set of all the narratives to meet those 10 myth types. I've got this new sort of motif catalogue I could use. I'm not too sure how to share that, but I'm also now recreating the myth themes using my new method, which is a multi-pass method, which I'll write a paper about. And I will actually write a paper about the database itself so people understand how it works. So all that's going on as well. So I say the database is really being properly used for doing research, and that's a brilliant thing. So thank you all for your support. It's been, well, it's just amazing knowing what we've done. Just one more month, quite a month of me, and then I'll be back free to make lots of videos and astound you with wonderful things. Hello, Zemelin. And yeah, if you've got any questions, YouTube members, patrons, please just ask away in the comments and the posts, and I'll do my best to reply. But it'll be my head down certainly for the next probably 3.5 weeks whilst I write, and hopefully have a book by Christmas, and I can come and see some of you around the world. Definitely come to Norway again. Almost certainly go to America, and maybe bits in between. For the Q&A, especially for you, Mazel. Thank you, Linda. It's people who support me who make it possible. There's no way I could have done what I've done without you all, really. And I'm just proud of you all being, here and supporting me. I'm very privileged. I do say that a lot, but it means a lot. Really does. Franklin has ended the chat by saying, "Who is the devil?" That depends on the context, Franklin. But it's a representation of bad things somehow. The personification of bad people. Answer the question, man. I'm answering the question. A bit rude. Yes. So it depends on religion or culture or tradition, on the time. So yeah, it depends. But yeah, who knows? With that, anyway, I will go. I'm whittering on. All take care. Thank you again. Would there be an autograph session? I'll work out a way to sign books and send them to you guys. Take care, Ove. I'll find this for a way if I can sign books and send them to you. I'll do that, or see if I can get you discounts or something. I'll do my best to make sure as many of my supporters as possible can get hold of a book as cheaply as possible. Okay. Ozzy Osbourne is the devil. There we go. That is mythology for you. Everybody have a lovely Sunday. Take care, and toodle pip.